G'day, it's Dr Ryan here. I'm the chiropractor over at the Orange Chiropractic Health and Wellness Centre. Today we're going to be discussing stress. Now, you're probably looking at this thinking, what can I do about stress in my life? If it's anything to go by, this last couple of years for society in general has been more stressful. However, not much we can really do to make it less stressful. I think we can all agree that these factors are out of our control. But what is in our control is how we respond to that stress. I've been reading an excellent book recently by Dan Prompt called The Resilience Shield. And if you'd like to get it, it's very well available across all sorts of bookstores and online. However, they go into different aspects of what you can do to allow yourself to be more resilient under stress. And these guys have seen a lot of stress. They're SAS soldiers. One of them is an SAS doctor. They've been on the front line. They've seen all sorts of horrific things and had to operate under these stressful conditions. But they can still manage to thrive and also be resilient under these circumstances with the right tools. And I just want to share with you what these tools are. And in this book, they talk about different layers of a resilience shield. They talk about the mind layer, they talk about the innate layer, professional, social, and the physical layers. Now, what they found was all these layers play a role in how you can adapt to stress, how this stress can affect you, and ultimately if you can, water off a duck's back, or if it's going to crumple you and you're going to really suffer from this stress. So when we started to look at these layers, we saw the innate layer is almost something that we're genetically gifted with. And we've all got different layers or different levels of genetic resilience to different stresses. So not too much we can work on there, except work with what we've got. The second layer though was the mind layer. And this really looks at what we can do with our mind to be more resilient to stress. And they found that this was the most important layer to be resilient to different stresses and the one that is going to have the biggest effect. And what it came down to was mindfulness. And if you're not, familiar with this concept, mindfulness is the ability to focus on a singular thing at one point in time. It's not trying to eliminate all our thoughts and everything that comes through our head, but it's simply focusing on one thing. And if you think of the stresses that are on us day to day at the moment, is we're just bombarded with different things constantly, messages, information. We're downloading, I think it's something like 38 gigabytes of information in our brain on a daily basis, which is the equivalent of something like 7 textbooks. And you can imagine your mind just isn't designed to do this. And so as a great step, taking 10 minutes a day to engage in mindfulness is a great start. An application I've found really helpful for this on your phone is called the Smiling Mind app. You can download it from the Play Store or on the Apple phone product. I'm not really sure what iOS does with their Apple Store, but it's an orange brain and it teaches you how to engage in these daily mindfulness activities. And what they've found is this doesn't just give you, temporary relief from the stress that you're under, but actually starts to rewire your brain, physically changing the neurons in your brain, setting up new neural pathways that make you more resilient for future stresses as well. And doing this little bit by little bit, these habits build and build over time. They then looked at the professional layer, which is looking at what you do day to day in life and making sure that you don't become your profession. Because if your profession disappears, what resilience have you got left in that area? So it's one of those things that you need to have a really solid identity in who you really are, understanding what's important in your life and your values, so that if those stresses take that component of your life away, you've still got resilience. And then of course there's the social layer, which is super important. We've seen the last 2 years with the stress on society, part of that has been the social isolation people have experienced. So something they go into talk about deeply with managing this stress and being resilient to stress is having a really strong social group around you. And I think it's a very deliberate thing to do. We all have a few friends here and there, but they are something we need to nurture. Friends and family, it takes effort. And so one of the things that they suggest is actually making an active step to deepen and grow these relationships, not just as a one-off every year, but actually doing it deliberately each week. The final one is our physical resilience to stress. And this isn't necessarily taking on lots of physical stresses on our body and hoping that we survive it. It's actually using physical activity as a way of mentally and emotionally supporting our stress response. And so being physically active, physically fit, having a physically healthy body is going to then transfer into how well we cope with those stresses on our body. So that's a quick summary of a great book I'm reading at the moment to be more resilient to stress. I'd encourage you to check it out too. But that's all from me now, and stay tuned for more videos.